Welcome back to our study of apologetics. This is week 5. We're halfway through, and I'm sure that's a great feeling for all of us, especially those of you who are laboring hard at reading and writing and doing the research for the course. But we are going to look this week primarily at presuppositionalism. And the goal here has not simply been to isolate this as presuppositionalist week, but in the course of trying to accomplish what the course is intended to accomplish, we need to look at presuppositionalism. And so I have selected 2 places for reading. One is the chapter in the Cohen book, and the other is Cornelius Van Til's work on apologetics. And so we're going to spend some time on the Cohen book, and then we're going to get through about half of Van Til's book this week, and then we'll finish it up as we go along. The theme for the week is People Need the Lord. Now, let me kind of talk about that for a minute, because it may not be immediately obvious what I have in mind when I say that. I don't intend to say that only presuppositionalist apologetics responds to the fact that people need the Lord. That would not be true. That would not be my conviction. So that's not the point. But there's a real sense in which, in presuppositional apologetics, the focus is more methodologically acute that people need the Lord. If you've read any of Van Til's material yet, even if you've read just the introduction and chapter 1, then you'll know that he's pretty hard set against any of those theological systems or philosophical systems that allow human beings to have a sense of autonomy. And that's a term that he's going to get into in even more detail as we work on through the book. So that's part of the reason for that focus, or for that theme for the week, but also simply the fact that people need the Lord. We used to sing that chorus back when I was in college. I don't think it's sung very often anymore. Choruses tend to come and go and fade over time more quickly than hymns used to. But there was a chorus called People Need the Lord. I'm not going to sing it for you here, so please don't get your earplugs out. But that was the theme of that little song, and it spoke to a reality that most of us believe. I think all of us believe people need the Lord. That's just the way it is. So anyway, methodologically, presuppositional apologetics does focus on that issue more perhaps than some other approaches, such as evidentialism. So anyway, that's the nature of the theme itself. Now we're going to read chapter 4 in Cohen this week. That's going to be the first lecture. And you may have become sort of familiar with me having the Cohen book as being something we'd read at the end of the week. We're reading it at the beginning this time because of Frame's chapter on presuppositionalism. It'll set us up for being able, I think, to get into Van Til a little easier. Early chapters of Van Til are not quite as hard. Later chapters get a little more challenging. And so I hope that you'll find Van Til to be somewhat helpful to you, whether you accept presuppositional apologetics or not. There are a couple of other assignments in the week that you'll want to take note of, the little non-graded assignments that you still have to do. And one of them has to do with telling us what you think presuppositionalists believe, specifically with reference to biblical texts. What are their favorite passages that establish their position? And so that'll be one of the questions, and then respond to that. And so those, again, you'll email to me sometime in the week, and I'll email back to you my own thoughtful, hopefully, response to your comments. Not trying to win friends and influence people here to a particular viewpoint. And so that brings up the question of what's my view. And my view is more eclectic than Van Til's. My view kind of fits in with the Frame position, which is presuppositional, but also with some cumulative case stuff that we looked at last week with reference to Paul Feinberg, but also what we've been seeing in the book by Os Guinness that we've read. So that's kind of where I am. But I do have a great deal of respect for and and confidence in and allowance for the presuppositional approach, because I think it does do some things for us in terms of understanding the apologetic task that other approaches have not done. So let's get going here, and when you come back to the next lecture, we'll talk about the Cohen chapter 4.